Hey everyone, Alexa here from the blog, theduvallhomestead.com. Today I'm going to take you through and show you our living room renovation before and after. We did a small redo of our living room that made a really big impact. So first I'm going to walk you through how we did that. Then I'm going to talk about the accents that you see in this picture, the frame TV, and the Christmas decorations. It was quite the redo of this room. We've been very busy doing it over the last few weeks, but it was well worth the effort for what we got in return. If you've been following this channel for a while, you may have seen this room, but I would rarely film this room because I never liked how it looked. As you can see in this before picture, we have these two awkwardly spaced windows on the very side of the wall. We had a very large TV that was gifted to us that we just took at the time because it was free to us. But as you can see, it's really way too big for this mantle. I also don't even like the TV here to begin with. I have mentioned this before if you've been following along for a while. We're not really big TV watchers. We like to watch it occasionally, but considering this is our great room, and so on the other side of this room is the kitchen and our dining room, it's all one room, so we spend so much time here. And if you have a great room, you know, if you have the TV as the main focal point of the great room, that's great if you really like watching TV because then everyone will be watching TV all the time. But if you don't like watching TV that much, or you have kids and you just try to keep it off, it's basically what I call a black hole. So you just have this huge black thing on your window. So we have been eyeing the frame TV for a really long time to fix that. And I'll talk about that more in a second. But I'm saying that now because we really wanted to get the frame TV to fix the situation of having this big black hole on our living room wall. So we thought, let's get some art to put up there and it would look so much better. But as we were taking off the old TV, we realized, oh gosh, if we're gonna spend the money on a frame TV and make this look really nice, we want to shiplap the back. Now, shiplap had been something that we wanted to do on this wall for years and years ago, but could not because when we moved into this house, well, right after we moved into the house, the pandemic hit, and then the prices of everything was so high. If you remember, wood was really high, shiplap was really high. We got a quote, we did an estimate for how much shiplap was gonna cost us to do just this one wall, and it was like $2,000. We thought, well, that's just ridiculously high. So we never did it. And now we went back to do it, and it's a third of that. So we were so excited to finally be able to do this project that we've been wanting to do for a really long time. Now we chose to do this over the Thanksgiving weekend, which was not ideal. It was a little bit stressful, but nonetheless, we got it done anyway. So what we wanted to create was a beautiful living space because like I said, this is our one and only living room. It's all one great room here. There's nothing else in our house. We have kind of a small house really, other than the bedrooms and the bathrooms. So we really wanted to make this a space that we walked in and enjoyed. So the first step was get rid of the large black hole, as also known as the TV we had before. So we got rid of that. Then we decided shiplap would be the best to accent this wall. So a quick overview of how to do shiplap for those who are new to it. Basically, like anything else, you want to figure out where your studs are. We cut our drywall to figure this out. Being that this is such a large wall and there are electric wires and everything behind the wall, we wanted to make sure that we knew exactly where we were drilling. And also with shiplap, it has to be straight or else you're going to notice it and you'll stare at it every single day. So my husband did a lot of measuring every single detail. He drew on the wall exactly where everything was going to go, made sure he found the studs, and then we had to do a little bit of electrical work to, of course, get the electricity up to where the TV was going to go. We didn't want to have any wires dangling down. The goal was to run a wire from the media box down to the outlet. So we removed a section of the drywall and then ran the wire through a stud and a power plug in the recessed wall box. We spent a lot of money and time because we wanted to do this correctly. The recessed wall box allows us to mount all of our electronics behind the TV so there aren't any cords dangling down. The only cord that should exist is between the TV and the what's called sound bar, which is basically the speaker that is going to ultimately go up on the mantle. The other thing we wanted to make sure we did correctly was mount the TV flush to the wall. So we really had to make sure we got all of this behind the TV work correct before we even started the shiplap. You also see that we have a bit of a slanted ceiling here. If you look at the top left of this frame, those are where our stairs lead to the second story of the house. So it ran through our minds, should we just shiplap this entire wall? Where do we stop? And because you can see in the upper right, there is a wall leading to a window on that side. That is where we decided to stop it. And then we added beautiful crown molding, which you'll see at the end. Once we figured out where the studs were and we ran the electrical wires and everything, the shiplapping was pretty easy. Shiplap is a very easy DIY kind of thing. I actually have a tutorial for how we did another wall in our house, an accent wall. If you want to know more about just shiplap, you can check that post out and I'll link it below. It's the same process regardless of what kind of wall you're doing. Once the shiplap was done, we had to add the crown molding. We tested out a few different ones. We wanted to also frame the windows. That's what we're doing here. This made the windows look so much better. I don't know about you, but in our house, these windows just looked so awkward before. And they aren't even evenly spaced. One of them on one side is up against the wall and the other one is about 1.5 inches away from the wall. So that's lovely. The next step after that is to fill all the nail holes and then do sanding. We applied caulking to the edge gaps and we ultimately painted this the polar bear white color, which is the same color that we did our other shiplap wall, so we wanted them to match. It is called polar bear white. And I had a nice time with my toddler ripping down all of the paint prepping materials. Other than these couple clips you're seeing me helping my husband, he did most of the heavy lifting here. Now it was time to mount the TV. Another issue we ran into with the TV is the studs did not line up correctly for us to mount the TV center how we wanted it. So we had to use a new tool, which John will show you here.
These toggle-bolts mount behind the drywall.
Just a second.
Like this, and they pull the flange, and then you push this all the way down and snap it off. And the reason I'm doing that is because our studs don't match up, and so I'm going directly behind the shiplap into drywall. So these hold like 200 and something pounds each. So this is gonna help with mounting the TV and making sure that it's secure. It's behind the drywall like that, and then pull that down.
So you're kind of creating like an anchor,
Yeah.
basically, for your nails.
Yep.
I think I'll make a separate video on how to mount a frame TV because we had some trouble with figuring that out. And I don't need to go into the details here, but basically I will say the TV is very, very light to pick up. Just my husband and I could do it. Once we figured out the details and things that we were doing wrong, it was very easy after that. Isn't that always the case, right? I will say that the frame is the best part of this frame TV. It's beautiful and it's very expensive, which is kind of the downside of doing this whole frame TV thing is the frame TV is expensive and you have to buy a frame. But the frame is super easy to mount on. It's magnetic, so it literally just pops right on. So once we figured out the wiring in the back, the TV was super easy to use after that. So now to decorate the space for Christmas, I thought it'd be really magical to have our tree here, our stockings as normal, and I wanted to do something special on the mantle. Now I'm not done decorating this room for Christmas yet. I have a lot of decorations that you can't see right now on the camera that are just kind of messy around me because we just haven't finished putting them up yet. But this is a start. So I started, of course, with the Christmas tree. We went and cut down a tree at our local tree farm, got that up. We put some white lights on it, and as we're putting the white lights on, we realized we are short a few lights. We wanted to make sure the tree was well lit enough. I think in the years past we have done just kind of one loop around the bottom, up to the top. And we decided this year to do 2 layers of lights. So for example, on the very bottom, we did an inner layer next to the trunk and then an outer layer of light. And that really helped because if you only spiral up the tree one time with lights, it's really not enough lighting. So it helps to do 2 layers per, horizontal shelf of branches. So that's what we did here is 2 layers. We had to get more lights and we realized that we really don't like the LED lights. We like the iridescent lights, which is like this warm white. It's very cozy. The LED is just kind of like neon, and I don't really like that. So iridescent was what we realized we needed after we bought several packages of quote warm white lights, and they weren't warm, so we had to go back and forth a little bit. So you'll see in this video we're wearing different clothes because it took us a few days just to get the lights on the tree because we had to keep buying new lights. The frame TV has some really fun art backdrops for Christmas, so we just scrolled through those. But then we went on Etsy and we found some even better art backdrops you can buy that artists have made specifically for the frame TV, and they're only a couple dollars because you just download them. So we went and bought a set for Christmas, and having a toddler around, it's just so magical for her because there are pictures of reindeer and snowmen and Santa, and to be able to change that all the time is fantastic. And I have to say, if you're someone who is trying to cut down on screen time, and that's kind of what our goal is with this frame TV, having a picture up is helpful because I find personally that having just a black TV, a black screen in the middle of the room and everyone's kind of hanging out and looking at this black screen, you want to watch something, you know, you're like, let's change it. No one wants to stare at a black screen. So it's really nice to put a picture up because then you have something to look at and you're not as tempted to say, let's just turn on the TV just for turning it on. I'm not against watching movies, we like to do that occasionally too, but it just helps so that you're not turning the TV on just to turn it on. It's already on. So we really enjoy that, and our toddler really likes it too. Now for the mantle, I was inspired by a magazine, and I'm forgetting the name of it right now, but on the cover there was this very beautiful country Christmas scene with a mantle and a fireplace and these beautiful floral arrangements. And I've always just done, you know, really simple garland on the mantle, fake or real, one of the two, and some stockings and maybe some candles. But I really wanted to make an actual floral arrangement. So I started doing some research. I followed some florists on YouTube and watched some videos on how to make a real floral arrangement, like for a wedding, for example. And I got some really good inspiration and good tips, and I actually plan to write a blog post on this, so stay tuned. I'll try to remember to link it below when it's posted about the tips I learned and how to actually create a floral arrangement. And I used a green foam block and just put these stems in there. I had a whole list of beautiful greenery and stems that I wanted to buy, but our hardware store, local hardware store, did not have them. One at the hardware store told me to just go forage them, which I know that she's right. We live in the Pacific Northwest where greenery is abundant. But with 2 kids under the age of 3, I didn't really want to go forage the leaves, and not to mention we are in the middle of a huge rainstorm right now. So that just adds another layer of complication. So I really wanted to just buy them, but unfortunately I couldn't find them anywhere. So I did end up foraging these branches. Seemed like a good idea. Oh, look at this. What'd you get? I really lucked out. The gods were with me because I went to a beautiful park that's right next to our house. So I had both kids and everyone was playing and having fun. And at the same time, I was able to get these leaves. I got several different varieties. I looked them up on my phone using my identifier app where you can take a picture of a leaf or a flower and it will tell you what kind it is. It was very fun, and it was a little bit of a lesson for my toddler too. She got to learn about these kind of leaves. And then I got to work at home and started sticking them in the foam block. One thing I did do wrong with this right away was I started putting the branches in too low on the foam block instead of leaving maybe at least a ½ an inch or an inch at the bottom in order to fit in the bowl. You're supposed to cut these foam blocks to fit a vase, but I just wanted to keep them pretty wide and put them inside of a bowl. But the branches sticking out from the sides were making them too big to go down and touch the water, and you want the foam to touch the water. That's why it's gonna keep them moist. So I had to go back and take some of them out and move them a little bit higher. So don't put them on the very bottom or else it'll push the plant up so that it doesn't actually get to the water, if that makes sense. Once I got the floral pieces up on the mantle, I was super thrilled. I kind of tailored them so that they would be angling outward on either side, and that worked out really well. I plan on adding some more decorations here, like some twinkle lights, and I'm thinking of connecting the 2 floral pieces with garland. Plan on coming back on here in the next couple weeks to show you a home tour once we're done with everything. We have a hutch that I'm still working on, so some more really fun stuff to come. If you're brand new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. Every week I try to get a new video out on farm-to-table recipes and home and natural living and some home decor and lots of DIYs if you're interested in that. Well, I hope you are enjoying your holiday season as it is kicking off now that it is December. Thank you so much for stopping by our homestead.